do you feel about failure? Does it make you want to cringe? Do you want to run away and hide if you didn't do something well? Today, we're going to talk about how failure is actually what helps you to succeed. So, failure isn't failure as a person, it's really about learning something new. So, you mentioned your trauma from the past. Obviously, it dictates a lot of what you do. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about that and where you started, where you went, what you went through, and how you got out of it?
So I am from a small town in North Dakota. I grew up a farmer's daughter, and that was a great life. I ended up getting married at a pretty young age. I feel like it was kind of expected, like to get married at a younger age, being from that place. And I had a boyfriend in college, and we were going to move overseas. He was from a different country. And because I was going to move overseas, I felt like it was kind of, well, you have to marry him because everyone's going to know you're living with him overseas. And it was that whole, oh, we don't want it to be like you're just living with your boyfriend. So I feel like it was my own decision, of course, but I feel like it was a little bit of, well, this is what you should do. So I only did 3 years of college. I never finished college, which I would probably tell my daughter if she came to me now. I'd be like, oh, that sounds great, honey. Why don't you finish your last year of college and then you can go do this. And if you still feel like you want to do this, go ahead. And then you can decide if you want to get married. But I didn't make that choice. And I think I feel like it stifled my development because suddenly I was a 21-year-old young woman in a different country, didn't know the language, and I was stuck with just like one person. And it was a great experience. Don't get me wrong. I learned a different language. I actually learned two. I was in 2 different countries. I developed a lot, but I was also still young and influential. And I lived with just one person. And he ended up being highly like manipulative. He had a little bit of his own issues that I wasn't sure about. I didn't know about when I married him. He was also young. He was only 23. So we almost grew up together and got like really intertwined. And it wasn't until after we'd had children, which we waited like 4 years or so to have kids after getting married, 5 almost, I think, that I started to realize that, there's something wrong. Like it's not quite working the way that I thought a marriage should work. I don't think I really knew what a marriage should be like either. And when we moved back to the United States, that's when I really realized, 14 years later, 3 kids later, I moved back and I started to make some friends over here pretty quickly. And I realized my marriage is not like everybody else's. Like this, oh, your husband doesn't, do these things. And he was very controlling. He wanted to know where I was at all times. He would text and call me like all the time, incessantly. I still actually have a little PTSD. My phone's always on silent because I can't handle the plinging of my phone, even if I know it's a client or my kids. So I quickly found out that this wasn't what a normal marriage was. And it ended up getting worse and worse as I started to figure it out and tried to kind of pull back and become my own person. It became more controlling, abusive, emotionally, mentally, and it just even sexually abusive at points and in ways that I don't really want to get into. But I think it was just slowly you get stuck into this place where you're like, I don't even realize how I got here. And it was really toxic. And I had 3 little kids and I didn't really know what to do because here I am. I wasn't working when we moved back. I worked overseas, but I was an American, but I was kind of felt pseudo-American. Hadn't lived here at all as an adult. I moved away when I was 20, turned 21 overseas. What had I really done? I worked at a store one summer, my when I was in college. Like I didn't know anything of anything. So I felt a little bit trapped and tried to make it work, of course, when you have 3 kids, but it just kept getting worse and worse to the point where I had to make the choice and kick him out. And honestly, years went by where I was just trying to heal. Luckily, we had been to enough counselors through our times of troubles, and he had gone and figured out that there was some sort of disorder going on. So I knew a little bit of which way to go when I started to do my healing process. And I have to say, I dove deep into reading books, listening to podcasts and YouTubers that spoke about this kind of thing. And it just, over like probably a 2-year process, I realized I'm not crazy. Like what I was going through, a lot of other people go through. And there's actually a playbook for how this type of mental disorder, how they actually react to things. So I realized, oh, I actually have control over when I have communication with him, because I have to. He's the father of my 3 children. I realized this is how I have to handle it. And my children are older now, and they realize through what I've learned, I've taught them that this is how you need to react to this sort of situation. And dad loves you, but there's, there's only so many things that you can expect from him when it comes to certain areas of it. And they're all adapting quite well. We have good communication. There's ups and downs sometimes, but it's just, I have an inner peace now with it. And it's the knowledge really of everything that's going on, because when you look at it from the inside, it's just craziness, and you can't understand, why is this person doing this, and why am I acting this way, and am I the crazy one? And then when you figure out exactly why they're doing the things they're doing, and how it's their self-protective mechanisms, self-defense mechanisms, that then you get it, and you're like, really, it's not about me, it's about them. And it really, truly, I had to immerse myself in information for like 2 years. And now when I'm talking to clients, it's actually funny, because so many people, there's a wide range of different, I would say there's a spectrum when it comes to different personality disorders. And some are like high on the spectrum and they just have some traits of it. And others are way low on the spectrum. And they're actually highly, highly toxic, abusive individuals. And I can spot it from a mile away now. Just certain things that people will make comments about their spouse or their significant other, or even their mother or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'll ask a couple questions and I'll be like, oh, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, now I get it. So then I can talk them through it. I actually have one of my favorite clients. She had a boyfriend and I was like, So we kept talking through it and she's like, yeah. And she ended up breaking up with him. And afterwards I said, I'm so happy for you. She goes, you have no idea. I feel so relieved. She goes, I just felt like blah, blah, blah. And I go, yeah, I know. And then I could tell her that I knew this because I was kind of coaching her to like, maybe it's not the best idea. And there's lots of guys out there. And, that's not a great way to feel when you're with somebody. And she ended up making the right decision. She's so happy now. And she's decided not to date for a while because she's working on herself. She's trying to get into super duper kick butt shape right now. So she's working on that and she's loving it. And I know that when she gets back out there in the market, she's going to have a better headspace, feel a lot better about herself, have a way better self-esteem. And her, like I tell people, your picker's broken. When it comes to picking somebody, I think her picker's not going to be broken anymore. She's going to be able to spot somebody that's healthy and happy and can add to her instead of sucking everything good out of her.
Check out Sarah Hansson's website for Fit Sarah Coaching and see what she might be able to do for you. Yeah, I'd love to hear how you have overcome failure and learned new skills from the challenges that you've overcome. Thank you for watching our video today. Make sure you comment below and check out our website at grassgives.com.